Welcome to 1818 Farms. I'm the owner, Natasha McCrary, and we're excited to welcome you back at the farm. And we're going to talk a little bit about our loofah plants. And a lot of people, the number one question I get is, I thought loofahs came from the sea. Well, actually, no, they're grown on a vine. And you can see up here we have a couple arches, and they're just a wonderful way to practice sustainability at your farm or even at your homestead or home, is that you can grow your own sponges. This probably in the 10 years that we've been farming has been the most exciting plant we've grown. Every Friday we're out here counting how many loofahs we have. At one point we had around 157 for maybe 12 to 14 plants, and they've really done well. My only regret about this is I wish I'd started a little bit sooner. We're in northern Alabama, zone 7, and we really didn't get these into the ground until the 1st of June. Next year, I'm going to start them a little bit earlier, and in a later video in the spring, be watching, I'll show how you can really speed up your germination through the wet towel method of starting these. And then, I would try and get them in early here for like around April the 20th. And if I have to cover them, because as you can see, I have so many loofahs, but not as many are mature yet. And we can work with that in the fact that we can harvest them, take them inside and let them dry inside. But it's a lot more simple if we can get them to look like this loofah up here. This is fully dried. You're going to see some that have brown spots, and they're yellowing and beginning to brown. There's a big difference in the spots and a rot spot. Now, we had an arch that sort of fell. It got a little too heavy. And when that happens, you need to go ahead and harvest it. You can also bake these in the oven to quickly dry them. It's just a lot more work because you've got to, once you bake them in the oven, peel the skin and really wash the gunk out of the inside. It's just very gooey inside. It's a little bit harder, to get your mature seeds. Of course, we want to have the mature seeds. We love this product so much. We want to offer that to our followers this next spring. So what I'm going to do today is kind of go through, I want to show you a couple of things. One of the questions I get from people who are growing it also is, why do I have so many male flowers and not female flowers? Well, at the beginning of the season, for some reason, when the plants start to grow, you're going to see a lot more male flowers. And when I say male flowers, they usually have multiple flowers on a head. We're so late here, I don't think we have any here. But later, just give yourself patience. The hotter it gets, the more these plants are going to thrive. They love a tropical environment. And you're going to see, we even now, if we come in here and look, we have one baby loofah that started up in the very corner. It's on the end of a female bloom, which is a single bloom, but it's way too late. Now, many people, this is, a great vegetable you can eat also when it's small. And a lot of dishes, you may cut it up. It's sort of similar to an okra when it's small, but what we really want it for is when we have the beautiful sponges. So I'm going to climb up. Ideally, this, it's going to be dry. It's going to be a little bit harder to peel. I'm going to come up the ladder and cut it. You also can see these back here are really close when they're more yellow with the spots. But you guys, I want you to look at this one. This one's huge, but look how green he is. So, we have a frost coming in 2 days, so we're probably going to just harvest these and put them inside and dry them ourselves. So that's another reason, like I said, I want to really start next season. Make sure they're in the ground April, because it takes so long to mature. So I'm going to go up the ladder and cut this. Sorry, the ladder's a little wobbly. My old rickety ladder. I'm going to cut this one and then put him here. And I'm probably going to go ahead, and this one's really light, so I can reach him. And even though he's not all the way brown, I'm going to come down, show you guys. Like if you could lift this green one, how heavy it is. These are just air light. And this one, you can see that he's getting closer, because when I touch him, the skin's releasing. So we may try and go ahead and, peel him today. But I'm going to show you a little bit about this. Usually what I like to do, a lot of times you kind of hear the seeds in here. So that means, it's fully dry. And don't laugh, but usually what I try and do is I hit it to loosen the seeds, because I want to clean. Can you really hear now? So many seeds in here, y'all. So I'm going to hit this, and then we're going to probably go over here. I find that it's easier once I loosen the seeds to peel it. That's the difference in these two. This one's going to peel so much easier, almost like a banana. This one's going to be tougher. So what we're going to do is we're going to soak it in a little bit of water, and that'll help the skin come off. But listen to this. Those are new loofah seeds. So now we're going to show you how to take the seeds out of the dry one, but I also want you to look behind me. Now this is telling you do not underestimate how heavy these loofahs are going to be. So I always say when something doesn't work, it's a huge learning experience. You saw the earlier arch. It's still an arch form. It didn't have as much loofahs. It gets the least amount of sun. This one was the last one we put up. We used the cattle panels. And it's so heavy, the whole thing fell. It looks like a roller coaster now. So we had to come in with some posts because we didn't want to lose the loofahs. We did lose a few where they hit the bottom and bruised. But overall, it still did pretty well. But you can see just how many loofahs we have. And as I was referencing earlier, you see a lot of the male flowers here. And there's still now, here's a honeybee, lots of pollinators here. This is just wonderful if you're concerned about pollinators in your yard. Like down here, look at this bee. He's just taking a big drink. So we have, like I said, you can see the different stages here also on the loofahs. Here's the one that's, getting closer. It has the yellow. And then you still, like I said, you've got some really green ones that they are very heavy. So we're definitely going to have to dry these, inside. But what I like to do is, as I was saying, I try to break as many of the seeds as you can. And then what I like to do is have a container, and we'll have seeds available online. They'll be probably limited just because of the supply we will have, and we'll be planning for ourselves. And I'm going to kind of cut the end off here because this really, I cut a seed, isn't as usable as the ends are because they're so small. And then I may even go a little bit deeper just because I got to have a better hole to get some of the seeds out. Because really, there are probably more seeds that are going to be at the top. And sometimes what I do is I'll end up cutting both ends because it's pretty. Just when it's so dry, it's you can see how much sponge is in here. But this is a lot easier to get these out. So it depends. We've had up to 350 come out of one, and then we've had others where there's just not as many. This one we're going to try from the other end too, because it feels like there's a lot of seeds up in this top part. Because really we're wanting to get out as many seeds as we can before we start the soaking part. So that looks pretty good. I'm not hearing a lot more. Sometimes you will get some once I do the soaking to get the skin off, but you can already see how beautifully dry this is in here, and the fibers, how nice they look. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, checking our seeds, is what I like to do. If I make sure most of the seeds are out, and look, I have them all over the table, is I get a knife, or I just use my clippers in this essence, and I'm going to try and do just a few little slits. I mean, nothing big, to just soak. I want to be able to get just a little bit of water, but I don't want to cut the sponge. So I try to go into one of the grooves. And a lot of people say, well, what do you use these for? It's just like once we see the bath sponges you see, or cleaning your dishes. A lot of soap makers use them. So what we're going to do is I like to soak these for probably 5 minutes or so. So we'll soak it and then we'll come back. So while we have our fully dried loofah that I was showing you guys here soaking, so it'll be a little bit easier to peel, I'm going to try peeling this loofah. It's probably, if I had to really leave it a little longer, I'd probably want another week, but the frost is coming, so no matter what, we've pretty much got to harvest everything. But this just gives you a good idea, and it may be a sponge we can't use, because what happens, like I said, is you have to have a lot has to be dried out inside for it to peel correctly and the sponge developed. So I kind of do the same thing. I'm just getting my clippers and just going through a little spot here. Like I said, I just don't want to get too far in that I damage the sponge that's developed. And what you're not going to be able to get the seeds out right now with this. You're going to have to let it dry out, but it sometimes peels a lot easier, kind of like a banana. I mean, it's not another week dry, and it will probably be perfect on the vine. But like I said, I don't want to risk it rotting. And it's sort of like, when you peel celery and you have the little strings that come down. And what I'll do with these is we'll set these out, let them dry, then we'll shake the seeds out, and then we always wash all of them at the end, just so they're good and clean. It really gives your hands a good workout. But if it's like a week earlier, sometimes I can unzip these and pull it right out quickly and have it peeled in no time at all. But this one I'm having to just work a little, and I'm wanting to be very careful so I don't damage the fibers. Okay, so this one, what we're going to do now, you can see there's a lot of black seeds in there. It's going to be warm over the next 2 days. Is we'll just take it, I'll lay it out on a crate that we deliver bouquets in. So it's an open crate where you get air underneath. I'm just going to lay it in the sun, and in about 2 days, it'll be dry. We'll get all the seeds out similar to the way you saw in the dried one, and then we'll wash it, and it'll be perfect. In a way, I really like the color that these come out. It's just a little bit harder to peel, but still, really, this one's really well formed, and we're still going to get harvest a lot of seeds. So, I can give this a 10 out of 10. All right, guys, so we're back. We've been letting our fully dried loofah soak 5 to 7 minutes. Just makes it so much easier when you get ready to peel. And we're going to kind of see, make sure, I kind of like to turn it first, see the water come through to make sure there's no other seeds. And you can kind of see how the water now is a little bit dirty, just because it's gotten any kind of debris out of the center. And we'll still wash it at the end, but we're going to try and start to peel. Here's where I made this slit. And you saw how hard the other one was, just like to peel. But here, I'm just going to kind of go in. That water's gotten under the skin. And like I said, I just don't want to tear the fibers very much. So this really helps. And you can always dip back in with water if you need to. And then just pull. This is really a lovely, lovely sponge. I wish they would all dry so beautifully. All right, so this one peeled beautifully, and you can see what we'll still do. I see a couple more seeds in there, but we'll let it dry, and usually they pop right out. Is then we're going to do the same thing that we're going to do with this one that was green. So you can see there's a little bit different color, and we'll both let them dry. Then I'll slice them into what sizes I think. And people say, well, if you're going to sell them, on average, you sell for about $1 an inch. If you're going to sell the sponge, that's just kind of an average that I hear. And what better way to be truly sustainable and have a great project for you and your family? I promise this won't disappoint if you have kids. I mean, we're adults and we couldn't wait every week to see when the loofah would come for you and your family to do together. So what I'll do is, like I said, let them dry, slice, and they'll be ready. But if you're interested in growing loofahs or have any questions, please leave me a message, because I feel like I had a million questions about loofahs, this being my first year growing. And I've learned a lot of things I would and wouldn't do. And hopefully in a few weeks, we'll have seeds available on our website at 1818farms.com. They'll be, limited because we only have so many loofahs. So be on the lookout there, and don't, hesitate to ask me questions. Thanks for watching the video.